So I really love Otome games, and as you can probably see, I have a pretty vast collection on my Switch, or in this case, my Switch 2. I would say the only kind of games I play more than Otome are probably JRPGs and uh, farming games like Story of Seasons. But even then, I think as a genre or subgenre, I might have just a few more Otome games than farming games. So I wanted to talk about all the Otome games that I really love, um, that are worth the time, the dime, or which ones I suffered through and hopefully you won't have to. So my favorite Otome game of all time so far is Collar X Malice. And this one has a really interesting story. The female MC is a cop, and she has to um, discover who are putting the city under threat with a group of former cops and investigators. And it's a very interesting premise. And I love all of the love interest except Shirashi. I did remain a member of the Shirashi Bashing Club, as the group of women who dislike him refer to themselves in the game, which originally included the MC, but eventually, obviously he's one of the love interests, so she does fall for him eventually. Um, my favorite is definitely Mr. Blue Hair from this particular game. I love him so much. My second being Yanagi. So then, of course, we have the sequel, which continues the love stories, the fan disc, rather. So when it comes to Otome games, the fan disc, it's very important to have played through the first game before playing a fan disc, in my opinion, because you're really gonna appreciate the continuation of the love stories if you've played through game one. Another favorite, because I believe these first six are in order of how much I love them. Another favorite is Cupid Parasite. This one is a bit absurd and funny, and the MC is the goddess Cupid, and she goes to Earth to prove a point to the gods, including her own father, that humans can fall in love, love still exists, etc. And, like, Alan is my favorite Otome boy, probably in the top 3 of all Otome boys ever for me. I love him so much. And, I would say that this is one of the rare ones where I enjoyed almost every love interest except for a love interest known as Gil. He just got on my nerves for most of his route. But overall, the game and its sequel, Sweet and Spacey Darling, so good. Cafe Enchante is another one that I love. I love the art style. If I remember correctly, the artist for Cupid Parasite and Cafe Enchante are the same artist, and that's probably one of the reasons why I enjoy both of them. So Cafe Enchante has a lot of fantasy elements. Most of the love interests are like from myth or fairy tales. I enjoyed almost all of the love interest. My least favorite was probably Rindo, just because I didn't see chemistry between him and the female MC. Big age gap, and I just didn't see them realistically falling for each other. Tengaku Struggle Stray Side was another absurd one that has a lot of the same energy, in my opinion, as Cupid Parasite, that I really, really enjoyed. This one, I did love all of the LIs. And for the longest time, it was, for probably more than 6 months, it was the only Otome of 2024 that I finished in its entirety. I played all routes. I will say that in Goemon's route, the villain does something very, very triggering to the MC, so definitely check trigger warnings, ladies, for this particular game regarding the villain, specifically in Goemon's route. He's terrible. What he did to the MC, even though it's not shown, but of course this is an Otome game, this is a visual novel, so you do read about it, and so what she goes through because of the villain may be triggering to some readers slash players. So definitely check trigger warnings for that. And then this is my representative on my Switch of my love for the Code Realize series. This is Wintertide Miracles, which is one of the fan discs. My second favorite Otome game is definitely the original Code Realize, but I have it on my PlayStation, so I really didn't want to double dip for that particular game. So on my Switch, I only have Wintertide Miracles, but it is a great secondary fan disc, the first fan disc being Future Blessings. So definitely highly recommend it, especially for bookworms, because the love interests are fictionalized versions of characters from literature. So if you love steampunk, the steampunk aesthetic, and characters like Lupin and Van Helsing, you're going to enjoy this one. Okay, moving on to the second row. We have Olympia Soiree. Aesthetically, this is definitely another favorite. I loved all the routes in this one. I will say that in 2 different routes, we deal with the same villain who does something horrid, and you definitely have to look at the trigger warnings for the villain within this game as well. The interesting thing about the storyline is you play as a girl who is the last of her clan, and the clans are separated by like their power color, so to speak, and so they're separated into classes, and so the girl is expected to marry to continue her clan, and different love interests are from different clans, and they each fall in love with her. And what I enjoy about this one is that it definitely makes sense the way the love story unfolds for each love interest, that they do eventually fall for the MC. And I like when that happens in an Otome game, and not like falling in love for the sake of course, he's the love interest, so she fell in love with him. So this one is very great, but again, the villain is certainly a villain and vile in 2 routes. And so check the trigger warnings before potentially purchasing and playing through this one. Pio Fiore, Faded Memories, is another one that I enjoyed all of the LIs, and the voice actor of Gil the redhead in this game is the voice actor of Impey Barbicane from Code Realize. So I just have this headcanon where this particular voice actor, he just loves playing energetic, funny redheads. This one, it's a fictitious town in Italy, and the girl gets mixed up with different mob factions. And so that one's very interesting as well. Birushana is, if you like Hakuoki, you're gonna like this one because it's set in a warring time period. The female MC has to pretend to be a boy because her family has been killed and she would be the head of the family, and people would go after her if they knew that she not only survived but survived as a girl. I really enjoyed all of the love interests in this one as well. So that one's very interesting, very fun. I forgot to say about Olympia Soiree that the romance does go beyond PG-13 for that particular game. So I wouldn't recommend it for players perhaps younger than 15 and up, or 16 and up. The romance in Cupid Parasite and Tengaku Struggle also goes beyond PG-13, so I would perhaps recommend it for players 15 or even 16 and up. So please keep that in mind. Variable Barricade, in terms of humor, has Cupid Parasite type of energy again. The MC is a young lady who is very rich and who is expected to marry, and she is under the impression that all of the LIs are just after her money, but she genuinely falls in love with each one during each route and realizes that they're not just after her for her money, even though they all make it portray themselves that way in the beginning. Best of Fellows, it took a while for me to really start enjoying this one. The main reason I picked this one up is because of the voice actor Ken being featured in this one. He's actually featured in many of the above Otome games as well. I just really love him, but sometimes the LI that he voices isn't my favorite. I just love hearing his voice. So this one is interesting because the MC is a journalist with the power to travel back in time and inhabit very temporarily another person's body, and she helps a ragtag group of friends and associates to solve mysteries and get at the corrupt people in her city. Tokimeki Memorial Girls Side Fourth Heart is actually in Japanese. I learned Japanese because Sailor Moon was out of print in English for so long, and I am a shoujo nerd, so I do get to use the skills sometimes to play certain Otome games. But since so many are coming out in English these days, Tokimeki Memorial Girls Side Fourth Heart is one of the most recent ones that I've played exclusively in Japanese, because it is not available in English, and it is unlikely to be available in English, unfortunately, because the games in that particular series have never been officially licensed and translated in English. Steam Prison, I would say definitely try to get it on sale, because it's kind of slow going, and out of, I think, 5 routes, I only really enjoyed 2. So depending on if you like the art style, if you look into the art style, I would say either potentially skip or get it on a really good sale. Oh, one thing I forgot to say about Cafe Enchante, even though I really love the game overall, is that it has a very long common route, and I know some fellow Otome fans dislike long common routes, so that aspect of the game might not be for everyone. Because I enjoyed all of the love interests, I didn't mind getting to know them through the long common route. This one is Ephemeral Fantasy on Dark. This is kind of like one of those cheapo sort of throwaway otomes that I really primarily played because at a time where it was cheap. I think I got it on sale for like $6. But even with that being the case, even though aesthetically it's not terrible, it was pretty decent. It's super short, and there are so many typos throughout this one. So this one is probably a skip for most people, unless you see it super cheap and it caught your eye for some reason. Butterflies Poison, Blood Chains is one that I picked up because people recommended, oh, it's like, there's some actual romance in this one, because 2 or 3 games in a row, I felt like there was very little romance, and that's kind of the point of an Otome game. So the romance here goes beyond PG-13, and so I recommend it for older players. And I believe originally when it was on PC, there were like scenes that were for like 18 plus. For the Switch, it's been toned down and those scenes were removed. But it's a historical romance, and it wasn't a favorite. And so I would say aesthetically it's very good, but if you avoid historical Otome, then you might want to skip this one or consider getting it at a really good sale. This is Episodio 1926 for Pio Fiore, and this is a fan disc of the first game. So if you enjoyed number 1, then definitely get this, because Gilbert exists. And so do the other LIs. And if you want to see a continuation of Nicola is actually my favorite LI in this series. If you want to see a continuation of the love stories, definitely pick this one up. This one, which is Paradox, I actually will be very honest. This one has been on my backlog for over a year. I think over 2 years, actually. I got it at release, so I don't know why I've kept it on my backlog for so long. But yes, I have not even started this one. So I can't comment on it very much, but I do know that there's like magical girl vibes to it, like the LIs transform and such. So I'm looking forward to getting to it eventually. Lover Pretend is one that was on the back burner for a long time, but I recently finally finished it. And this is another interesting one because the MC is on a journey to figure out who her father is, because her mother passed away and never told her, and all she really knew about him is that her mother had worked with him on the set of a film that was like 20 years old because she's a college student. So she goes on a journey to find him as she starts working on a film set, and all of her potential dads are still in the industry, and she starts falling in love with either their sons or people who are associated with them. But don't worry, there's no there's nothing funny about the LI relationship she ends up having. So, you don't have to worry about taboos and ickiness in that regard. So there's that. Norm 9 I got because I believe it was originally available for the Vita, and that is one handheld that I never got. Actually, I fibbed. I have not finished 2 routes here, but the routes that I have finished have been very good for Lover Pretend, and aesthetically I do enjoy it. Norm 9, again, like I said, was, I believe, a PS Vita Otome. I had never had the chance to play it, so when it finally got ported to Switch, I started to play it. I have not finished it. I've done 2 routes so far. I don't love it as much as I wish I did, but hopefully as I continue the game, it will get better for me. Radiant Tail is probably one of the most aesthetically pleasing, but in some routes the romance is so cute, so sweet, and in others the romance is kind of barely there. So you might want to pick this one up during a good sale. Digitally, they tend to go on sale a lot, Otome games. Charade Maniacs is kind of bonkers, and it took me a long time to finish because of the bonkers premise. Like, the MC gets kidnapped along with the other LIs, and they get forced to be actors and actresses in different scenarios, and they've been kidnapped and they have no way of getting home unless they do all these random acting scenarios. So it's not everyone's cup of tea. And the main reason I even played it is because I liked the art style. I only liked literally half of the routes in this one. So if the art style or even the unique premise is what attracts you, you might want to wait for a really good sale on this one. Or if after you read the premise it doesn't seem like your kind of thing, maybe this might be a skip for you. Jack John or Jack Jean is a really, really interesting one. You play as a girl who is pretending to be a boy in an all-boys acting school, and the art style is unique. It's not the trendy poppy colors that I tend to gravitate towards for Otome games, like the game right next to it, which is the sequel to Cupid Parasite. But the story was actually so interesting, and that's why I really, really enjoyed this game. I did like some routes more than others, but overall I really enjoyed this game. Sweet and Spacey Darling is the fan disc to Cupid Parasite, as I said, and I love Cupid Parasite, so this was also super enjoyable. This is what I'm currently playing from my Otome games list. I have not finished a route yet, but so far the storyline is very engrossing. But I will say that there's probably trigger warnings already, even though I haven't finished a route yet, just because you play as a girl who everyone in her town believes is cursed because they consider her like as a sign of death, like a harbinger of death. And so there's murders going on and things like that, and so there's some skirmishes where things are kind of described in a not PG manner in terms of people being safe. So I'm trying to make sure I don't use words that are super triggering. So in that regard, please look this one up before considering purchasing, and double check the trigger warnings and make sure that this is for you or not. Oh, how could I almost forget? Pure Fiore, the first game, not so much the Fandis sequel, but the first game, the bad endings, super, super trigger warnings. A lot of the bad endings are kind of terrible. You do need to look up your trigger warnings for Pure Fiore, Faded Memories. I completely avoided the bad endings based on some of the trigger warnings I saw for that particular game. So be careful, double check your trigger warnings. 9 RIP, most of the love interests are either not alive, they're ghosts, or they're like gods and spirits. So I would say that things aren't described in a graphic manner, or they're not shown in a graphic manner, but definitely given the subject matter and given at least the ghost state of 2 of the love interests, definitely check the trigger warnings for this one. It is aesthetically pleasing, but given the nature of it, with definitely check the trigger warnings for this one. Especially compared to 9 RIP, this is totally wholesome. I finished 2 of the 4 routes. Definitely pick this one up on sale, not because it isn't good, I've been enjoying it, but just because it does have less love interest than usual. And for the 4 love interests, you actually play as 4 different MCs, which I think is interesting and should happen in more Otomes. Because, like, sometimes that suspension of disbelief that 5 to 6 different guys all fell in love with the same protagonist is a little much. Battlefield Waltz, I wanted to like this one more than I did. The common route was super long to the point where it almost bored me to tears. Once I got past the super long common route, the routes in general were pretty enjoyable. My favorite boy in this one was Pasha, which I did not expect for him to be my favorite in this game, but he was so sincere about the MC that I thought it was cute. Sympathy Kiss is like a straightforward office romance. Definitely get this one on sale. Not because it isn't good, but it's not going to like subvert any expectations, so to speak. And it's kind of simple and straightforward, and it is typically very often on sale. So definitely consider getting this one on sale. Please be sure for any games that I mentioned the trigger warnings for, or that there are trigger warnings, definitely research those a little bit before digging into the game. Steam Prison, I believe you should check some trigger warnings for that one too, just in case. Not so much because of the LI, but because some of the subject matter that is discussed throughout the game. And that is the entirety of my Switch Otome collection. So let's see, altogether I have 6, 12, 18, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. There was one that I did not enjoy so much so that I sold my physical copy, which was Dairoko, Agents of Sakura Tani. I did not really enjoy that one almost at all. The art style wasn't for me, and even though I often enjoy fantasy Otome, I think because I did not enjoy the art style, I couldn't even get into the story very much. I did play all routes in the hope that I would enjoy the game more, but I recently sold it just because I was tired of looking at it in my collection and not enjoying it. Of course, these are my personal opinions on all of these games. If any of these games that maybe I didn't enjoy, you love beyond all games, of course you are very welcome to have that opinion. The thing I love about Otome games is that they can be so different, and what one Otome gamer might love, another might not, and vice versa. So these are some of the ones I most recommend. My top 6. Code Realize, I will definitely recommend the first game, and then you can enjoy the fan discs. So I hope you enjoyed my commentary, and I'm sorry it is longer than I intended it to be.